I'm about to kink shame a whole lot of you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name's StepsBasic and welcome back to my community show. Hey, it's a foot in there. Anyway, so, welcome back to my community show. As always, let's begin with our announcement. So, for this week, I sucked. I know. I was actually testing out a new thing where I record in the morning, edit in the afternoon, and have everything uploaded on time, and it worked one day. But, you know, I got to try to find ways to get better sleep at night, so I was like, I will not record at night, and then I didn't record at night, and so then I didn't have any videos. But hey, at least we got like mostly all Borderlands stuff, plus, you know, still dealing with the tree and whatnot. And that's where we're going. We're still working with Borderlands, having fun with it, moving on through like always. And yeah, pretty sure that's all the announcements I have. My mustache is going funny. But anyway, so apart from that, on to the title. Not the title, the topic of today's show, which is, like we talked about last week, why we like villains, why we, you know, can relate to them and feel more comfortable with the types of villains that are being created, and read through a few of the comments on that video that I made. And now, why do we love villains? Now, of course, you may not know, there's a difference between liking and loving, and, you know, respecting and understanding, as opposed to being attracted to the villains. Now, of course, this translates into real life in some pretty tragic ways, where you get the serial killer groupies. But of course, I'm only going to be really addressing what we see in media, in games, and comics, movies, etc. You know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. And of course, the thing that brought this idea to my head was naturally the internet's reaction to one 9-foot-tall vampire lady, which, you know, has bordered on just straight up disgusting. Y'all need Jesus. But she's not at all in any way the first one that this has happened with. And I think the most recent, aside from her, that I can remember off the top of my head is Handsome Jack from the Borderlands series. Borderlands 2, Tales from the Borderlands, and I think Borderlands 3. I haven't played Borderlands 3 yet, so don't shoot me yet. So I'll get to it eventually. But, you know, people fetishizing, fantasizing, smexualizing Handsome Jack. And this is something that I find really hard to understand. But, of course, people do have some fetishes, you know. And of course, an evil person would satisfy certain appealing things. People like to be earmuffs. People like to be bound and beaten, and so, you know, that sort of thing could apply to it. That sort of thing could apply to that topic, but at the same time, it's like in most like BDSM sort of relationships, there's always a fine line. You know, you don't treat your significant other in bad ways outside of, you know, your kinks. And that's the thing that always throws me off, is when it comes to people fantasizing about and fetishizing these supervillains like Handsome Jack and Lady Dimitrescu, or Lady Dimitrescu. It's not just one thing. It's not just the whole smexy time. It's the whole thing. You're looking at a whole package here. There's going to be abuse. There's going to be violence. There's probably going to be mutilation and death. So it always baffles me when I see people idolizing these people to that extent, in that direction. And of course, you know, thinking about the real life equivalent of, you know, serial killer groupies who fall in love with serial killers, send them fan mail, send them clippings of their hair, amongst other things, while they're in prison. And, you know, in those situations, it's like it's just that, you know, it's just the idol that they put in their head, and it's a very sick mentality. And honestly, I feel bad for those ladies who do that sort of thing, because they're broken and they have problems. But then you see people doing it for the video game characters, and of course, you know, there's going to be somebody who's going to come along and say, dude, we're just memeing, man. It's not a real thing. And I would have believed that from some people, but from other people I've seen, like especially around Handsome Jack, it doesn't seem like you're memeing. It seems like you're being factual here, dude, and it makes me worried for you. Makes me worry about your mental health there, and I feel bad for you. Get help. But that's the thing that people don't often think about when it comes to these sorts of fantasies, these visualizations, is they don't think about the implications of a full on total relationship, in that it's not going to be a good one. Think the Joker and Harley Quinn as a good example. Very toxic, poisonous relationship. And, as much as I don't like people fantasizing about Harley Quinn in the same way, because she's not any saner than he is, but she is not. It's not a good relationship with the Joker and the Harley Quinn, because the Joker abuses her verbally, mentally, psychologically. I think those two mean the same thing, and it's really a bad thing. And people are like, I aspire to that relationship. No, you want to know a dark relationship you all want to aspire to? Morticia and Gomez. Now that is a good relationship. They both have dark beliefs, fantasies, visions, but they're both good to each other. They both treat each other very well. Now that's a good relationship. But of course, we're not here to shame everybody, even though I spent the last, 4 minutes doing exactly that. What we're here to do is try to kind of understand the idea. Now, of course, I will tell you straight up that my belief and understanding of it is don't do it. They're not good for you. Find somebody who's going to treat you well. Men and women and everything in between. Find somebody who's going to treat you well. Not somebody who's just hot and mean. Because that's not a good combination. It's like the whole, what was that scale, the crazy beautiful scale. Stay away from that thing. It's dangerous. And, of course, the thing of it is it always comes down to the one thing that most people find, shut up phone, shut up other phone, the one thing that most people find very attractive when it comes to looking for a partner. And that is, of course, confidence. And nobody is more confident than psychotic serial killers, murderers, and egomaniacal jerkwads. And that's what this amounts to, basically, is, well, yes, they are also attractive in some way. I should address that. I've never really found myself attracted to video game characters. I mean, I can be like, oh yeah, I can see what the artist did here. Looks really nice. But it's not like, oh, look at that hot piece of polygon right there. Delicious. No, don't do that. I've never really been attracted to video game characters in that way, which is another topic altogether. But in this case, it applies because they make these polygons in a proper direction that makes the people be like, oh, look, that's smacky. But then, you look at the same dichotomy, confidence plus sexy or handsome in certain ways, kind of adds to the whole combination, makes it all work together. Because if it was somebody like me, overly large, hairy, balding, middle-aged man, I might not draw as much attention being the evil, egotistical jerkwad. But, somebody like Handsome Jack and Lady Dimitrescu might actually have a better draw. There is another one, though. Another thing that people often neglect in these sorts of situations, and that is the motherly/fatherly instinct of some people. I can fix them, the mentality goes, and that is a very dangerous mentality, especially for somebody who doesn't think themselves to be broken and or requiring of your fixing. People like Handsome Jack, he's damaged goods, literally and figuratively, and he's also dead, so, And Lady Dimitrescu is she's insane and bloodthirsty and will probably drain all your blood, and some people might actually like that. Y'all need Jesus. Anyway, so, it comes down to the whole damaged good mentality. Now, of course, I'm not sure if it applies so much to Lady Dimitrescu. I need to stop pronouncing it like that. It's starting to get on my nerves. But definitely to folks like Handsome Jack and Harley Quinn, damaged goods, as it were. oh, I can fix him, or oh, I can take care of her and make her feel good about herself. The thing is, they don't think of themselves as broken. So you trying to fix what's not a broken, or I should say, not broken, is just going to upset them further. So the idea of, trying to fix them will just make them lash out at you, abuse you, break you, batter you until you are, quite literally, the same version of damaged goods. Now, of course, there's also the whole, the rebellion aspect. People say I shouldn't like him, so I love him. He's my best. And of course, this is portrayed most by teenagers who date men or women or girls or boys that their parents don't approve of. Like, my daughter, she decides she wants to date a bulldog. I'd be like, nah, dude, don't do it. She's behind me laughing at me right now. But anyway, I said, no, don't do it. And she's like, we love each other. You cannot deny our love, father. And I'll be like, yeah, I can. Don't do it. It's illegal. And, that sort of thing. Rebellion. She's not really in love with the bulldog. She loves the bulldog. Sure, it's a cute little puppy dog. Who doesn't love a puppy dog? But she's not in love with the puppy dog. She just thinks she is because I say no. Right? You get it? The rebellion aspect.
Oh my God.
It is what's...
No.
It is what society says don't do. In fact, I'm adding to society saying don't do it by saying y'all need Jesus and get some help and don't do it. Because, it's... I don't care about, the wider grasp of what society thinks is okay. But what I am thinking about is I did a really fancy little hand maneuver there. What was that? But what I am thinking about is how it's going to affect you mentally. I'm suddenly Italian too. And it's not healthy or good for you to try to, 1, fix somebody who doesn't think they need help. 2, date somebody who is toxic and dangerous. Or 3, date someone just because you think you're being rebellious. Now, of course, I could go on and on about this and how bad it is for everybody. But most of us understand that it's bad. It's like talking to a smoker and telling, hey, smoker, you shouldn't smoke. It's bad for you. Most smokers will tell you that themselves. And just like most people who fantasize about people like Lady Dimitrescu, or the serial killers, or Handsome Jack, or Kuja from Final Fantasy IX. I think that's the first one I remembered was that. Or Rufus from Final Fantasy VII, or going even further back to weirdos and Kefkas and whatnot, and Harley Quinn and the Joker. People who fantasize and fetishize these characters know that it's not acceptable, and that, of course, leaning back into the whole rebellious idea is they're doing it either to upset people or just because it's funny. It's like trolls. That's why I say the whole "we're just memeing, bro" thing, but no, at the same time, it feels very dangerous, borderline. You're gonna hurt yourself there. Now, of course, at the same time, there is the whole I can fantasize about this person because they're not real. I can fantasize about Handsome Jack and all the kinky stuff he'll do to me. This is making me very uncomfortable. All the kinky stuff he'd do to me. But I know I can do this because I'm safe, because he doesn't exist. But at the same time, this... Are you serious? Shut up, phone. I threw my phone away.
Don't do that.
Hi, rat. But anyway... what was I saying? Oh, yes. They fantasize about these characters because they're not real, and so it's a safe thing to fantasize about because they never have to worry about it coming true. But at the same time, it becomes a replacement thing, Like, we've all heard of the pimply, gross people who fantasize about their anime waifus and stuff. Like, I'm married to Sakura now. That's from Naruto. Reference. Or they have the waifu pillows and whatnot, and it becomes a replacement for human interaction, i.e. a very unhealthy state of mind, and one that most people should not tarry down. But of course, it's easy to point at the larger, pimply-faced, sweaty guys who are in love with their waifu pillows and say, ha ha ha, that's lame. But when you get the quote-unquote handsome members of society. Yes, I'm talking about Markiplier and his fixation on Lady Dimitrescu. But you start looking at that, and it's like, what is going on here? And maybe I'm just out of touch. Maybe I'm an old man, and old man yells at clouds, or in this case, old man yells at teenagers who fall in love with video game characters because they're abusive, toxic, horrible people. Who knows? But anyway, that's going to be it for me for today. I have reached absolutely no conclusions, but I have kind of tried to shed a little bit of light on the idea, the topic, and my thoughts on it, and hopefully you have some. Have you ever had an unhealthy fixation on a video game character? I don't think I've ever had one. I know I've had like attachments to character before. Like, I really like this character's character because they're good people, but never like to the degree of I'm going to marry this person. We're going to settle down in a little cottage out in the middle of a field of flowers where we will love and be together forever. Methinks she doth protest too much. But anyway, if you have any of those and you'd like to share them, I will not shame you anymore. This is the end of my kink shaming. But anyway, apart from all that, that's going to be it for me for today. Thank you all so much for joining me for this episode of The Community Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go and poke that like button for me. If you'd like to see more from me, make sure to tune in. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And of course, as always, you're more than welcome to leave a comment in the comment section down below. And I'll get back to you as soon as I can. When I can, if I can. You know all that jazz. And tune in next time, where we'll get StepsBasic's dating tips. That'll be a stupid episode. And until then, good night.